Joining me now in studio to explain why Eskom pulled out from sending representatives to the World Economic Forum in Davos is our very own CNBC Africa reporter, Christine Mhundwa. Christine, good to have you with us. Maybe a good starting point is just to find out why. Why cancel?
Well, of course, you know where this all started out. The DA Shadow Minister for Public Enterprises wrote to the Eskom CEO demanding that the utility pull out of its sponsorship of the World Economic Forum. Now, it's since emerged from the utility's statement reporting back to that, saying that they, in fact, are not sponsoring the World Economic Forum and that it was only going to be two individuals, being the CEO as well as the group executive, sorry, not the CEO, the chairman and the group executive for sustainability that we're going to be attending. But Eskom says for them it's about managing perceptions, and that's why they've pulled out. They don't want South Africans going with the idea that they're out there going to attend, you know, fancy world events at the expense of the power crisis in the country. So for them, it's not about the money, they say. It's about managing the perceptions that are out there.
But speaking of the money, clearly they must have booked flights, they must have booked accommodation. Are they going to get a refund on any of the expenses paid?
Well, interestingly enough, we did inquire about that. I was on the phone for the better part of the day with the communications team at Eskom. So they will be fully refunded in terms of the accommodation costs. They haven't been giving us any figures, but they say in terms of accommodation, they'll be fully refunded. And then, of course, when we come down to the flights, they will suffer, obviously, the penalty of cancelling a flight. Now, if we want to go down to the nitty-gritty details, we'll think those obviously, I mean, business class. I mean, these are executives. But, you know, as an aviation expert would tell you, it's very difficult to try and gauge how much, you know, airfare they would have paid, given that, I mean, this is a huge company. There could have been arrangements with the airlines. They could have, for instance, miles that they have acquired over the time. So it's very difficult for us to get into the territory of how much could they have potentially lost out. But they do say they will suffer that penalty of cancelling a flight of that nature at such short notice.
And I take it no figures given on the accommodation costs that will be refunded?
No figures there as well. Unfortunately, we're not privy to that. That's not information available to the media. But I think the biggest concern was also about the relationship with the World Economic Forum. As we would understand, it is a place where global leaders come together, share thoughts. It would have been good for our representatives to be there, especially where such discussions are taking place. But they do say WEF will be back in Africa in June, and that will be their opportunity to seize the moment and hop onto some of what they missed out on.
Well, we certainly hope so, especially for them to get more insights as to how to solve South Africa's power problems. But you alluded to something earlier, and that was the matter of sponsorship. So they're not having any sponsorships at the World Economic Forum. But from a local perspective, some people say there are debates that go around, the new age breakfast briefings. Is that something that they might sponsor?
Well, that's a question that we asked. I mean, in the last quarter of 2014, last year, we started hearing about some 43 million rand sponsorship that the acting CEO was considering signing, sponsoring the New Age business breakfast. As far as I'm told, and this is from the media liaison that I've been dealing with, no such sponsorship is in place.
No such sponsorship.
No such sponsorship.
Just a quick one with regard to the decision. When was this taken? Because they were going a few days ago, and now all of a sudden they're not going. Was this due to pressure?
It was. I think that, you know, I mean, if you look at that letter and when that first came out, that was already towards the end of last week. And I think the statement coming out today pretty much gives you a sense of, you know, when that decision was reached. It's Tuesday. One would imagine, you know, by the weekend already, this was a decision that they'd made. But interestingly enough, you know, the ministry, which is the Public Enterprises Ministry, didn't get involved, from what I gather. This was a decision reached with the executives of the company that they want to manage the perceptions and not send out the message that they're supposed to be dealing with a domestic crisis, but they're out gallivanting with the world's elite.
Exactly. Christine, such a pleasure having you in, and thank you so much for that update.